Welcome to Nifnex TV Perth. My name is Zeeshan Pasha and I'm your host. Now, running a small business isn't always easy and it's got challenges. One of the challenges that's been sent in to us is a business owner wearing multiple hats. Now, what we've got is we've got Andrew Christopher, we've got Chee Wong, and we've got Lesley Dewar, who are industry professionals who are here to sort of help address this case study and see how we can help you. Let's have a chat with them and see what they have to say. Welcome, Lesley, Andrew, and Chee. Could we go around introducing ourselves and see what perspective we're going to bring to this case study, please?
Okay. Well, my name is Lesley Dewar, and I am a small business, an online business called Stories My Nana Tells. And my approach today will be about how to get a lot of work done in a very short period of time as a single business owner.
Thank you.
My name is Andrew Christopher. I lead a specialist business consulting firm. This year we're having a particular focus on small medium enterprises, and my angle today will be in talking about working on the business as opposed to in the business of balancing that.
Fabulous. Chee.
Hi everyone, my name is Chee from Expert Messaging Australia. We help businesses deal with emails and other aspects of digital communication. What I'm talking about today will be based on a book by Tim Ferriss, The 4-Hour Workweek. So the old automation, delegation and elimination, or if you can't do any of those, then you do it yourself. So yeah, aspects of that, as well as time management and mindset as well.
Brilliant. So should we just keep going with you in that case?
You certainly may.
So obviously time management is a big concern for small businesses. So how would you suggest people address that issue?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for any business owner, it's really important to work out what you can do yourself and what other people can do for you. So outsourcing or delegation for me has been one of the biggest success stories in my business in the last 12 months. I've always heard about Elance and Odesk and Fiverr, those sort of outsourcing type websites, and about 12 months ago I decided to put my toe in the water and try it, and look, burnt a couple of times, but you know, worked out a little process that has worked for my business, and I do a lot of the repetitive, not so core tasks. I outsource that via Fiverr mostly these days. So that has been a really big part of my business. The other one is automation and elimination as well. In most businesses, there are tasks and processes that can be either automated or eliminated. A lot of us are stuck in a rut where we're performing tasks that actually, if we sat down and look at it objectively, we may not even need to do anymore. We're just doing it for the sake of doing it, maybe because we've always been doing it, it's a habit, or because we never analysed it to work out how we could eliminate it to be replaced by maybe something faster or easier, or a gadget might be able to do it instead of us. So those sort of ideas for me in the last 12 months has been really instrumental. I've been to start a podcast, I've been to join you guys to do this, I've been to power my way through my telemarketing and everything else. So yeah, those aspects of time management and looking at how you can delegate and outsource and eliminate and automate has been really working very well in my business.
So I guess it is a learning curve for them to work out for themselves as well.
Look, you could read the workweek, you can read the book Tim Ferriss, 4-Hour Workweek, and get a lot of the ideas from there. But in the end, it's a lot of trial and error, test and measure to apply those techniques to your own business. Everyone will have their own success stories, and some of those processes that may work for me may not work for someone else. So yeah, it still comes down to a lot of trial and error. There is no magic bullet in this day and age. Yeah.
So Lesley, what's working for you in that case as a business owner?
Well, what works for me is a 50-minute sprint.
50 minutes?
A 50-minute sprint. Being totally focused on a task, turning everything off. And that includes Facebook and email and the phone, and just being completely dedicated to getting that task done for 50 minutes.
Not
it's
easy.
Amazing how productive you can be. But behind that, there lies a whole layer of planning and thinking and getting organised, and having made the decision as to what needs to be done. And the key to being successful in business as a small person is to actually have your major goals written down. 3% of business people make 98% of the wealth in business.
That is huge.
Because they have their goals written down. And the reason that that is so important is that every time you go to do something, you can look at it and say, is this going to get me closer to my goal or not? So first of all, the decision of should I do this or not is much easier to make. And then once the decision to do it or not has been made, then doing it is a given. All you need to do is just grab that 50 minutes and go do it. And it is amazing how much you can get done in less than an hour if you are just totally focused on one job.
You're talking about the first thing in the morning before you get started?
No, you can do it. And the other key thing is to actually find out what part of the day works best for you. You should actually be working from your centre of energy, not working by the clock. You need to actually learn when it is that you work best, and then slot in your 50 minutes and just give it all you've got. And you'll be amazed, absolutely amazed, at what you can get done. And if you've got your week planned so that, and you alluded to this earlier before we started recording, if you've actually planned what tasks need to be done at certain times, then you can just put them on the back burner and not bother about them, because you don't actually have to address them until their time comes up in your planning.
True.
But behind all of that, you have to have a strategy.
So in your particular case, sorry to interrupt you, Lesley. In your particular case, you're writing books for kids. So that's your main core role as such, or
yes,
job.
It is.
So do you do that during the day, or is it obviously it's not working by the clock? So do you sort of wait to get into your zone at some point?
I mostly wait until I get into my zone. So it may well be that I'll be doing a 50-minute sprint and stop for 10 minutes and get up and go and get a coffee, and it's 1 o'clock in the morning and I pop on Facebook and somebody says, don't you ever sleep? Because the little green light's been up showing that I'm actually still up and working. So I'm a great believer in terms of working in your zone. It doesn't perhaps always work very well for small business people who've got husbands or wives or children. But finding out whether you are a morning or an evening or a night person, I think is actually one of the critical things to being successful in small business as an entrepreneur.
True. I've attended one of Chee's presentations where he said, turn off the email notifications completely.
Yes.
So that's a big sort of task for me personally. But So Andrew, I think obviously working in the business is different to working on the business.
Absolutely, and I think Lesley offered a nice lead into discussing that. It's useful to understand what working on the business is and what working in the business is. So working on the business is typically things like strategy, which is vision, mission, goals, objectives, etc. Organizational structure, understanding your industry and competitors. So things that help you position and grow your business. Working in the business typically is doing things like, if you're a small business owner or proprietor, you might be on the tools, you might be doing your accounting, your books or administration. That's working in the business. And the fact is, you need to be balancing working on the business and working in the business. Okay. So the realities of a small business are that in the early stages, you're going to have to wear these many different hats and balance them. But it's absolutely critical that you understand what these different hats are. And to understand what these different hats are, you should seek guidance from appropriate expertise, and things like the business excellence framework that's used in 85 countries. They guide you as to what these different hats are. And as a business grows larger, the challenges are different, because you might be in a position to afford to resource the different hats or seek that expertise. But often, a lot of owners in that space are still unaware of the different hats, or they have challenges in delegating, and so on. Yeah?
That's right.
So there's a different range of issues in larger businesses that challenge them in balancing the time between on the business and in the business.
Yes.
For the smaller businesses, really they should be understanding what these different hats are and what the risks are associated with not doing justice when you wear a particular hat. Yeah?
Yeah.
And then that leads you to making smart decisions about outsourcing or
Correct.
seeking external expertise and help and so on.
So what opportunities are there for outsourcing? Open question really. So Elance is a huge component.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just about to. Delegation's
can say,
delegation's always been one of my problems because I'm very particular about things being done just right.
Yeah.
And I find it very frustrating to pay somebody to do something and then find out that it's not done well enough and then have to do it again. So delegation's always been one of my problems. However, I'm just about to put my toe in the water and start outsourcing the physical production of stories my nana tells. I will still write the stories. I will still put all the photographs together in a semi-catalogue.
Yeah.
But then I'm going to outsource the physical production of the story into its PDF interactive format, because doing that mechanical part of creating the product is taking twice as long as to actually write the story itself. So I could be writing 3 stories in the time it's actually taking me to write one and get it physically produced.
So when you say physically produced, you're talking about the design aspect of it, or is actually the...
Well, no, the design's pretty much set. It's just the physical work of turning a Word document with a lot of photographs
Yeah, okay.
and a certain layout style into a finished, secured PDF product that can then be uploaded to the website and distributed to our subscribers.
Yes.
And I've been talking about doing this for quite a while. However, I've said to Chee, when this session is over, I will actually talk to him about actually getting introduced to Elance or Odesk or somewhere, because it is the next step.
Yeah.
After we went to that accounting software thing, I went back because my XP is about to die. My office, back office 2003 is about to die. And I've worked out why Bill Gates doesn't love me anymore. I haven't bought any new software for about 10 years. But I did a fair bit of research and found that I can actually now, because my business model has changed from being a financial planner with 5 employees to being a sole trader, I can still retain all the records, electronic records I need for the required 7 years after selling my other business. But I don't need to have a server that runs SQL. I can actually downsize, for the want of a better word, to use Access and still retain all the records that I've got. So all of a sudden, the server's gone, the $250 a month for IT support is gone. That was a great free breakfast, let me tell you. I learned a lot, and it let me go home and do the research that I needed to do to make some very good business decisions. So this is the thing about strategy. I mean, my goal was to cut my costs and have a more efficient operating system, and to actually be able to expand my Stories My Nana Tells business. That's the goal. The strategy on how to get there just underwent a radical 180-degree turn. I never envisaged I could actually get rid of the server for another 2 years. So I think that's one of the key things that you will bring to your clients, is that yes, you have a strategy, but it needs to be flexible. The goal, the end game, is what's really important.
Absolutely, yeah. In terms of strategy, there is a universal formula, So you can have your vision and your objectives, but the formula is establish sound approaches, initiate effective deployment to support your approach, so it's pretty much what you're doing there. Have good visibility of relevant, comprehensive results that tell you how you're performing, understand those results, and then identify improvements and approach those in. So there's a simple formula that big businesses sort of apply, and small businesses are well advised to do that too. But picking up on the point about what small businesses can do to help themselves manage on the business and in the business tasks, really today small businesses should be aware and should seek support from a range of business consulting and other firms to help them in the areas that a large business has resources for. So large business has a board of directors, a CEO and executives and specialist staff who help them with on the business matters. Small business can't afford that, can't afford permanent full-time resources in that, but today they'd be surprised that they can actually access these part-time, outsourced assistants in those areas because technology, innovation, economies of scale help you access affordable services in these spaces.
So services we're talking about would be what, social media, bookkeeping, accounting?
No, so those are in the business, and if you need in the business help, that is probably much better established in the market. The range of outsourcing arrangements in the business. What is not so established is support on the business. So if you need that director level, board level thinking, today you don't have to have a board of directors and the expenses, but you can access that level of support. If you need a CFO or a CIO type of support, you don't have to have a permanent resource in that position. You can access that. And organizing small businesses should approach Nifnex, approach my firm and your firms to discuss that and source that help.
It's interesting. I haven't heard of that before.
That's an interesting change of, it's not a change of view, but previously small business owners, I'll get this together in a minute, small business owners used to be advised to get what was called a board of support. And so you would get some business mentors around and you would sort of create your own board who would actually give you advice. Finding the people who were available, skilled enough, sufficiently interested enough and prepared to do that on a medium to long-term basis was not easy. Because most of them you would be looking for someone at a higher level than yourself because you don't want a peer, you want somebody the next level up at least. It wasn't easy to get that board of advice together. And I know when I was working as a financial planner for so long, we were always being advised, get yourself a board of advice. But I found that the executive level in the financial planning industry is not particularly stable, shall we say. So it was very hard to develop long-term relationships with people who would be consistently and comprehensively advising you on how to grow your business when you might turn around for your next board meeting and they're gone. So
I think times are changing, Lesley. But again, the baby boomers, they are an excellent pool of resources. And many of them are in a position to balance their private life, leisure, and some work, and in some ways contribute to community too. And so they're an excellent pool. In my consulting operation, my consultants are all people who are actually balancing their private lives and work and assignments. And that's my business model. It's only when your business model is an expensive one with all the overheads of a fixed office and permanent staff and so on, that then you're challenged to provide services at reasonable cost and so on. So today things can be done differently. There's access to professional expertise overseas. Large pools of professionally qualified expertise overseas too, that you can harness and channel in a way that provides you with a service that has integrity and quality. So
well said.
Times are different, and it's important that you latch into it, because the fact is, for small businesses to be competitive, if they don't sort of achieve this mindset, understand and access this support, they're not going to compete with the larger businesses, all of whom have outsourced services. They have external shared service centers overseas, and so on. Small businesses must tap into this stream.
Sorry, Chee, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to pick up on Andrew. Andrew mentioned mindset there. As you would know, you've attended our 60-minute workshop, and about half of that workshop is all on mindset. I would think that it's really important to get your goals and your mission, vision, and all that sort of stuff worked out first before you even go into the nitty-gritty of what to outsource or how to outsource and that sort of stuff. I just think that is so important. When I first started the business 2 and a bit years ago, I was just in total overwhelm mode. I had so many things to do and I didn't know how to do them or which one to do first. But I sat down, like Lesley said, one of the really important things that helped me to settle things down was to get a plan together, set out your goals, and to work out what your values are. And that sort of became my business conscience. Even though I wasn't really thinking about it, I had this business conscience then that would sort of guide me in the right direction. When at times I might not have time to really sit down and analyse things. So for me, that was really important, and you know that's reflected in the 60-minute workshop that we deliver. About half of that is on people to get into the idea, to buy into the idea that they're in control of their own destiny. They're not a victim. They can control the amount of emails coming into the inbox, and the quality of the emails coming into inbox is all determined by ourselves, not by the people that are sending us emails. So it's all about getting ourselves right first. Yeah.
And I get those emails from you saying I only check my emails 3 times a day. Or
There's so many things we can do to control ourselves before we start thinking about how to control external factors. I think that's really important to get that right first. Yeah.
So what would be your top 3 sort of tips for business owners who face this challenge?
I mean, getting themselves right first. You see expert consultants like Andrew and talking to others that are in this area. There's coaches and so forth, mentors. Definitely people that's been there and done that before. There's a wealth of experience here locally and abroad, like Andrew said. I'd be interested to hear a little bit more about what those processes are in terms of accessing overseas expertise, Andrew. So that for me, number one thing would be to seek assistance, because there's no one that knows it all. You always need help from other people.
And that's one of the challenges as well. You know, do you think that you know what you're doing, but really seeking that extra help?
Yeah, just having that level of sounding board, just a couple of people around you that you can really trust to reveal all, to see whether you're headed in the right direction or not.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very, very important, I think, in business.
True. Andrew, go on, Liz.
Yeah, no, so following on from Chee there, to definitely seek to understand, if you're wearing multiple hats, seek to understand what these hats are meant to be, and the risks associated with not doing something that hat obligates you to do or requires you to do, and then that leads you to seeking assistance, But in practical terms, Lesley, you talked about the 50-minute sprint, I guess some good advice to small business owners is set time aside, in your routines, maybe fortnightly or once a month, to do on the business thinking and activities.
So once a month for
So even if it's a day, in a month, set that time aside to really focus on the business matters, which is to look at your strategy, how that strategy that you set is traveling, what do you need to sort of tweak and adjust there, and so on, So the larger businesses typically approach this by having regular planning meetings, which helps them focus on the business, and then they have regular business performance reviews, which address in the business matters, and so by being sort of diligent in that, they give time to sort of both imperatives. Smaller businesses typically tend to get bogged down in the business, firefighting, dealing with day-to-day issues, and so on. So you need to really force yourself to set that time aside.
So I'm assuming you'd work on those on the business activities with your key members rather than yourself or your all your staff.
Yeah, so depending on where you are in your small business journey,
Yeah.
even if it's one person, you're well advised to set that time aside
Yeah.
and reflect on that. Yeah, but so that the process is efficient, take some guidance and expertise so that you have a bit of a structure
Yeah.
in dealing with that on the business
True.
issues. Yeah, rather than setting the time aside and really not knowing what to sort of think about, address. Yeah,
Turn off the
take
media
that
and
guidance
everything
so
else.
you have an agenda or a program
Yeah.
for that day
Yeah.
that helps you deal with that. Yeah.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Thank you, Andrew.
One thing that we haven't mentioned, and I think it's really important, is planning. Like before you go to bed, write down the 5 most important things you have to do the next day, because in writing down the 5 most important things you have to do the next day, you have already subconsciously made the decision to do those things.
Yeah.
So when it comes time to do them, the decision to do them is already done. So it's not a matter of deciding, well, am I going to do this? Like you wake up and these are what you have to do today.
Yeah.
That lowers the reactive focus of the
Yeah.
day. In fact, you've already made a proactive start. It also means that you consciously have to think about, is this my job? Will this move me closer to my goals? Or is this something that somebody else should be doing?
Yeah.
So for me, it might be write down, okay, give Chee a call tomorrow to talk about ELANs
Yes.
and outsourcing your stories. The other thing that is also really important, I think, is the expression of gratitude. I do think it's really important to regularly, in writing, express your gratitude for the life that we have, the opportunities that we have, the support facilities that we have, the really fantastic life that we have here that sometimes we just take for granted.
Yeah, not everyone does it.
And I think the more often we express our gratitude, the more often opportunities seem to open up to us, because
Yes.
I'm a great believer in putting yourself in the position of paying it forward.
Yeah.
And the more you pay it forward, the more it seems to come back.
Well said, Lesley. I think there you go. Between the 3 of us, we've the 4 of us. I didn't put any input, did I? So I think we've got some really good ideas. Is there something we need to say before we finish up the filming?
Can I just add one more thing?
Sure.
I think we really need to make a decision to change. For me, when I was in that overall mode, I knew after a while that I couldn't sustain the business and my family like that. So I made a conscious decision to change. But for a lot of people, they love being busy. They love the rush, the adrenaline. It's even a little bit addictive at times. So we need to sort of make a conscious decision to change. And that for me has been the biggest thing, just that conscious decision, sit down, just like any other habits, quit smoking, quit drinking. I need to change this busy lifestyle to a lifestyle that Andrew's talking about. Yeah.
Fabulous. There you go. We've got some really good ideas working in the business, on the business, and the mindset as well. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you again next month and for more case studies.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Zeeshan.
Thank you.
Cheers.